Folks, here's the moves it starts with, and you actually have to know this because if you don't, you're going to spend all your time in the opening trying to learn how to play against the Caro Kann defense, and that could be a problem. So welcome back to the Bobby Bo Show. Hit the like button if you enjoy the commentary videos. I'm going to play c5 here and attack the center, and they could take here and give up a center pawn, but they could also play c3 and defend it. I'm going to play knight to c6 to attack it, and they're going to play knight to f3, developing their knight and adding a defender. I'm going to pin the knight to the queen with bishop to g4, and they'll play bishop to e2, breaking the pin. I like to trade off the knight here so that it can't defend the pawn in the middle, and now I trade pawns, and hopefully they don't defend it properly. But first I'll play e6, so that after knight to c3 I can play queen to b6, and this pawn's defended, and now they play knight to e2 to defend the pawn. Bishop to b4 check, and they could block with the bishop here, and I can't actually take this because after takes, they have queen to a4 check, and then I lose my bishop. But instead of blocking with the bishop, they play king to f1, which the engine says is the best move, and now my other knight comes to e7. I like to bring it up here to attack the pawn, but now I'm in a bit of trouble after a3, and I realize my bishop can't come back, and if it goes back to here, then the pawn comes forward and it's trapped. So what do? Well, this rook is undefended, and if I move my queen over, then if they take the bishop, I take the rook. So the best move is queen to a6, and then after the bishop comes over here, you can bring the bishop back, and then the bishop can escape. But instead, I made the mistake of going to a5. So after bishop to g5, I realize I'm about to lose a piece, and I have to think about what's the best way to play this out. So knight to f5, and I'm just going to try to attack the middle and try to win that way. They take the bishop, I take back, and it's not looking good. I'm up a pawn, down a piece, and I should lose this game. But I'm going to keep trying to win, maybe I can come back in the endgame. And now they play bishop to e3 to defend the pawn. I play rook to c8 because if I want to win, I have to have all my pieces developed. And now g3. They're going to try to bring their king up to get their rook in the game. And now I castle to finish development and get my king to safety before I take on b2 to try to create some chaos and win the game. And now king to g2 brings their rook into the game. But queen captures b2 and we're just going to go for it. And they play rook to b1, attacking my queen. Now I have to decide where to go. And I'm going to go to a3 because after I capture the bishop, queen to a3 is attacking the pawn here. They captured on b7, and I take the pawn. So now I'm still losing, but I'm up 2 pawns and down a piece. I have an outside passed pawn that could be a threatening, but I'm still completely losing, and I need them to make a big mistake in order to win the game. They play queen to c1, and they want to trade queens to try to simplify into a winning endgame, but I do not want to trade queens. So queen to d3, and now queen to a1, attacking my pawn here twice. Gotta move it up, and now rook to d1. Attacking my queen, and now they're fully developed. I'll play queen to e3 to get out of the way, but after queen to c1, I have to trade queens. I have nowhere to go, so we trade queens, and I play knight to b4, trying to make my knight more useful, and maybe it'll support the pawn push here, but they play rook to a1, and now I have to defend the pawn with rook to a8, and after rook to b5, I'm losing the pawn, but I can put the knight on a better square, so I play knight to c2, and after they take the pawn, I have knight to e3 check, and after they move the king, I can trade rooks, and then play knight to c4, and the knight's defended here on a pretty good square. Still losing, of course, but my knight's on a good square, so I have that going for me. They have to move the rook now, so rook to c5, and now that my knight's on a good square, I need to do something with this rook, so I'll play rook to b8, and now the rook has access to the rest of the board. And now king to g2. I play g5 to stop their knight from coming forward, and this also lets my king come forward, so I can't get back rank checkmated. And now they play h4. I like the pawn where it is, so I play h6 to defend it. And now rook to c7 is a very good move for them, putting lots of pressure on the back rank here. Now they can play bishop to h5, and that'll attack this pawn twice, so I'm in a bit of trouble here. And I don't really know what to do to stop them from winning, so I just play knight to e3, check the king, and they play king to h3. Now I was expecting them to play king to f2 to attack my knight, and I was just trying to bring the knight over here to try to be a part of the defense somehow. But after king to h3, I think I see a trick that could make me win the game. Now I think it's pretty obvious that they're about to play bishop to h5 to double attack this pawn, and that gave me an idea. It's currently move 35, and they've had 1 minute left since move 20, so they've had to make quick moves this entire time, and if I can find a trick, then they might make a big mistake. So consider the fact that they're about to play bishop to h5, and what would you do next? Now you could actually play rook to b1 here, and the knight blocks these squares, so if the bishop comes down here, you threaten checkmate, but that's not actually what I'm looking at right now. I actually played rook to b2, and now after they traded pawns and played bishop to h5, I played g4, and the knight defends this pawn, checks the king, and now this knight is no longer defended by the bishop. So they took the pawn, we traded pieces, and then I took the knight, and now they realized that they just lost the game. Well, it's actually a draw, but they have less than a minute left, and I have 7 minutes left. And my pawns are all connected here. They have a pawn by itself, and I think I'm going to win this game. But it's still a draw if they played the correct moves. And now rook to b7. Seems like just a waiting move because they're expecting me to play rook to e4, check. And then after the king moves forward, I take the pawn. And now they play king to f6, and there's no way for me to stop them from taking this pawn. So I play rook to g4, threatening this pawn. They play rook to b8 check. Now my king has to step out of the way. And now they take the pawn with the king. They're threatening to take my pawns now. So I have to decide how I'm going to play this endgame. And after thinking for a little bit, I play rook to g6. And my idea here is that I can defend the pawn here with the rook defended by the king. And then I can just walk the king over and then have everything defended by the king and the rook and then win the game. But that's actually a big mistake because they have a crushing move here. Can you find the winning move for white? And the winning move is either rook to b1 or b2. And they're threatening to come over here and checkmate me. And I either get checkmated or they take these pawns in the middle. So if they play rook to b1 or b2, I lose the game. But instead, they play rook to d8. And now I play king to h6. And now I'm losing even more if they can find the correct move. So what's the correct move here? And it's rook to h8 check, which is the correct move. And the engine says plus 50 for white. But after king to g5, they have to find the right move again. And what's the right move here? And the right move is g4, and I lose the game. My king can't go to f5 now. I can't take the pawn because I'll lose the rook. And if I play rook to h6, they take the rook, I take back, and then I lose my middle pawns and I lose the game. If I try to push the pawn, they have king to f6, and then they promote first. But they don't play g4. Instead, they play rook to d8. And now I'm completely winning because I can play king to f5, and now everything's defended. They're about to lose this pawn, and they're about to lose this pawn, so I'm about to win the game. Now they play g4, but it's too late. I take with the rook, and rook to e8. What do I do here? What do I do here? It's attacked by the king and the rook. How do I save it? Well, I don't need to save it. I just play d4, and after they take, I play rook to g7, and the king's defending these squares, so the king either has to take or step away. And of course they take, and then I take the rook. And now this pawn's gone, and this pawn is going down the board. And here on move 51, they resigned after playing 30 moves with a minute left on the clock. And you guys are actually incredibly lucky today because there's just enough time for a bonus game. So hit the like button if you guys like the bonus game, just so I know. But here we go. It starts with the Caro Kann, and this time we exchange the pawns. Bishop to b5 check, I block it with the knight, and now they castle. I develop my knight to f6, they play h3 to stop my bishop from coming to g4. And I play g6, getting ready to fettuccine my bishop. It'll be strong on this diagonal. Now they play knight to e5, double attacking my knight here, and I'll bring my queen to b6 to defend it. And now the bishop goes back to a4, so it's not attacked anymore. And I'll play bishop to g7, getting ready to castle. And after d4, I'll castle. And they'll play c3, blocking a square that their knight could have gone to. And now I'll take their knight in the middle. D captures e5. And now my knight has to move, so it goes to e4. And I have a double attack on the f2 square, currently defended by the rook. But the d5 pawn no longer has a defender, so queen takes d5. And now bishop to f5, almost done developing here. Knight to a3. I guess the knight's going to come to c4. I want to keep my queen on this diagonal, so I play a6 to give my queen a place to go. And now they play bishop to b3. Okay, I'm thinking about some tactics here, and I play rook to d8, hitting the queen here. And the queen goes back to c4. And now what do you do here? Take a couple moments and think about if you have a crushing move for black. And congratulations if you found knight to f2 because you made the same blunder I did, because maybe you thought the rook could take, and now the rook is pinned to the king, so you can play rook to d1 check, and after the king moves, you can play bishop captures e5 check, and you're winning. But actually, bishops go backwards, and they take your rook, and you're losing. But instead of taking my knight with their rook, they play king to h2, and now I take the pawn on e5, and I'm completely winning. Now f3 to block the check, but I just bring my rook up to d3, defended by the knight and the bishop, and attacking the pawn on g3. Bishop to h6, hitting my rook, but now I have the brilliant rook captures g3, and they resign immediately. I hope you guys enjoyed the Bobby Bo Show today. Let me know if you like the commentary videos by leaving a comment in the comment section. Hit the like button if you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you for watching. I hope you have an excellent rest of your day.